President Biden's latest initiative to help Ukraine. He's paving a clear path for refugees to reach the United States, and he's providing a lot more aid, military aid, for those still in Ukraine fighting Russian forces. Here's what the president said earlier today.
Today, I'm announcing another $800 million to further augment Ukraine's ability to fight in the east, in the Donbas region. This package includes heavy artillery weapons, dozens of howitzers, and 144,000 rounds of ammunition to go with those howitzers. It also includes more tactical drones. In the past 2 months, we've moved weapons and equipment to Ukraine at record speed. We've sent thousands of anti-armor and anti-missile helicopters, drones, grenade launchers, machine guns, rifles, radar systems. More than 50 million rounds of ammunition had already been sent. The United States alone has provided 10 anti-armor systems for every 1 Russian tank that's in Ukraine, a 10-to-1 ratio. We're sharing and will continue to share significant timely intelligence with Ukraine to help defend them against Russian aggression.
That's the president today. So joining us now to discuss the United States and the war in Ukraine and what role our country's playing and what difference it'll make, ABC News national correspondent Marcus Moore. He's in Kyiv, the capital city of Ukraine. ABC national security and defense analyst Mick Mulroy, and ABC's Alex Perche in D.C. So, Alex, let's begin with you. What's the reaction in general to the role that the United States is playing in assisting Ukraine and in President Biden's leadership? You're seeing this war up close. How are people responding to what President Biden is trying to do?
Well, I think here in Washington, there has been support, bipartisan support, really, for the efforts that the U.S. has put forth to aid the Ukrainians in defending their home country. And certainly, you know, we heard the president earlier today talk about how we're going to be going through almost depleting the entirety of that drawdown fund, more than $3 billion in total with this latest announcement this morning. The president already saying that he is going to be requesting that Congress provide supplemental funding in the coming days to continue this support of the Ukrainian troops in their country. And Terry, as of right now, we haven't seen any indication on Capitol Hill that this is something that's going to be a battle to get pushed through. If you remember, you know, even during the president's State of the Union address, this is one of the few issues that galvanized both Democrats and Republicans.
All right, Alex, in Washington, thank you for picking up my fumble there. Marcus in Kyiv, what is the reaction there? Since you are seeing the war up close, how much of a difference do you think this can make, what the president's saying and doing here?
Well, Terry, it remains to be seen. Certainly the news or the word of additional assistance, military assistance from the West will be encouraging to the Ukrainians here, the Ukrainian president, along with the forces who have been in the midst of this battle now for going on 2 months. They, from the very beginning, said that in order for them to find success in battling the Russians, that they will need additional manpower and firepower along with ammunition. So certainly the fights that are happening over in the east right now, particularly in Mariupol, all eyes are there at the moment to see exactly how that will come to an end. But any help at all that they can get, especially in the form of long-range missiles and artillery, they will welcome that any day, at any time.
Well, let's talk about that. So let's take that to Mick Mulroy. The Ukrainian military facing a decisive battle in the eastern part of that country in a different kind of a battle. They were hit and run attacking the Russian forces around Kyiv, where Marcus is, and in the north of the country. This is going to be a different kind of battle and a different kind of American aid package. There is long-range artillery in this package. There are heavy weapons. How do you think this will impact the U.S. Commitment here, impact the war as it is developing?
So, Terry, you're exactly right. We're in a new phase of war, and we're in a new type of warfare. This is going to be force-on-force, conventional maneuver, combined arms warfare. The Ukrainians have proved they have the capabilities and the willingness to fight. Quite frankly, the Russians have not. But they have massed, and they are trying to mass their forces in a pincer movement right now against both flanks of the Ukrainian forces out in the Donbas. It is going to be essentially a war of logistics. And so the United States approval of 800 million in new weapon systems and munitions is incredibly important. It needs to be continuous, but that is a very big step for the Ukrainians.
That's interesting. A war of logistics. How fast can you replace the men and material that get chewed up in what looks to be a grinding battle going ahead? So, Marcus, the president has also announced a ban now on all Russian-affiliated ships, banning them from U.S. ports. Does that make a difference? How important is that?
Well, yeah, Terry, this could have a significant impact on Russia in terms of its economy. The U.S. has been thinking about this for quite some time, as early as March. And what they want to do is put pressure on Russia and their economy, and as far as big picture-wise, impact their ability to finance their offensive here in Ukraine. And this ban not only includes ships that are flying the Russian flag, but also any ships that are owned by any Russians. And so it's a broad approach, a broad ban, and certainly they hope that this will have some impact on the Russians' effort to fight here in Ukraine, and they hope they will feel it in their pocketbook, so to speak.
Got to be the most sanctioned major country in history at this point. Alex, some Ukrainians seeking asylum have been coming to the United States through the Mexican border. But that's not going to be the case much longer, given what President Biden announced. How does that work?
So, yes, the president today rolling out this Operation Uniting for Ukraine. It's meant to fast-track Ukrainian refugees trying to come to the United States. And, in fact, you heard the president talk about how some of them have been trying to come through our southern border. Well, they're going to be denied at this point at the southern border and being redirected through this program. But essentially what it does, the program allows, starting April 25th, it allows for private U.S. citizens and NGOs to sponsor these Ukrainian refugees. They'll have to declare a financial support for these Ukrainian refugees, pass a background check, but there is no limit on how many Ukrainians that an American citizen or an NGO can sponsor. And essentially, once these refugees pass, they have their vaccination status and they pass a biometric screening and a background check, they'll be allowed into the country. And this is part of the president's promise to basically, welcome in upwards of 100,000 of these Ukrainian refugees. But the big question is, how many of them will actually take the United States up on its offer? Many of them staying nearby with hopes that one day soon they can return back home to their country.
Exactly, Alex. And I want to take that to Mick. Mick, I was in Ukraine for a few weeks, and every single person I talked to, whether they had been driven from their home or they were, working to help the war effort, they said the same thing. We're going to win, is what they said. And at the beginning of this war, it was an ominous feeling that this was a devastating attack that was coming. Are they right? In your assessment, is it possible that David could beat Goliath in this war?
I think it is, and I think almost every military analyst I know who was wrong about how long the Ukrainians would hold out is very happy that they were wrong. And I think we have seen that their fighting spirit, quite frankly, and their capabilities. They switched to the U.S. way of war about 9 years ago. So they moved away from this top-down World War II-centric generals run everything model to our model, where NCOs and junior officers can make decisions on the battlefield. And we're seeing it really show in the effectiveness of the Ukrainian military. If they have the U.S. and NATO behind them, providing these weapons and equipment, they can win this war.
It's really an amazing development so far, but obviously there's a long way from any ceasefire or peace agreement. Mick Mulroy, Marcus Moore, Alex Perchet, thanks very much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.